Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster Tarpley reporting from Washington, D.C. Keep up at Tarpley.net, and Webster G. Tarpley on Twitter. The price of oil driven upwards, easily 120 a barrel for North Sea Brent. In Europe, foodstuffs being driven up between 10, 20, 50% in some cases. World FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, pointing to the biggest price increases and the highest overall food prices in recent history, perhaps in world history. Is this a matter of supply and demand? It is not. This is purely a matter of speculation. This is the thank you from the zombie bankers and the hedge fund hyenas for bailing them out with Treasury money, 700 to 800 billion, and Fed money, 3.3 trillion that we know of, and undoubtedly more, plus the quantitative easing. So we get up to about $5 trillion from the U.S. Government in its various forms, including foreign banks. The thank you is that they're now driving up the price of oil and food. This is largely a matter of Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. As I pointed out, in the summer of 2008, if you were paying $5 a gallon for gasoline, you were paying $1 of that, $1 to Goldman Sachs alone, and about $1 also to Morgan Stanley. So that's the difference between $3 gas and $5 gas, is the manipulation of the London ICE Intercontinental Exchange by Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley using index futures on oil. The same thing is going on in the area of agricultural products with obvious genocidal overtones and made worse by the radical environmentalists and their ethanol craze, their idea that fossil fuels are bad and therefore corn should be made into gasoline. That corn is the tortilla staple of large Latin American populations. That also has tremendous genocidal overtones. That stuff should be rolled back as fast as possible. Now, the Republicans are pushing oil drilling. That's great. Drill. Absolutely drill. Produce. But the Republicans are also adamant that speculators must be protected. Speculation is sacrosanct. The Democrats, of course, strike out completely on anti-speculation. And the whole issue of the strategic petroleum reserve, Obama says that he's considering it. What you'd have to do is a surprise announcement about midnight one night that a massive amount of the strategic petroleum reserve is being dumped on the market. The goal of this is to catch those speculators, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, who have gone long the oil futures index contract, to burn them, to catch them exposed, to bankrupt them. Of course, in this system, that may be futile because they'll then turn around and go to Bernanke and get bailed out with public money. But otherwise, what can we do? We know how to stop speculation. 100% margin. You want to speculate in oil, you put up 100%. No borrowed money, all your own money. No naked shorts and no longs if you don't own the amount of oil that's being traded. Position limits that no individual conglomerate bank or any other organized force, cartel, is allowed to dominate the market by taking over large portions of what is a relatively restricted market. A systematic distinction between the end user, who deserves to be in a privileged position, compared to the speculator, against whom the entire deck should automatically be stacked. And, of course, the most elementary thing you can do on these things is, since futures index contracts for oil are financial instruments, 1% Wall Street sales tax. That will take the life out of the booze in terms of speculation. That combination will shut down speculators, and you might as well use the strategic oil reserve to surprise them. Don't tell them in advance. You've got to do it as a squeeze that comes in. So that is the other thing that is now driving the U.S. towards this mass strike development. The interesting thing is the one country where an upsurge would make a difference on the positive side of the world historical ledger is here in the United States. You could say in 1848, the one country that really needed a revolution was Great Britain, and instead we got these Chartists who were worth nothing. The United States is the one country where a big upsurge leading to the kind of policies that I've been talking about could be quite a positive thing for humanity. This could lift the world. And remember, the various states, right, be it in New Jersey with Christie, Wisconsin with Walker, Ohio with Kasich, Indiana with Mitch Daniels, Florida with this guy Scott, the Republican reactionary forces are on the march, and in Washington, they're doing this madman strategy, as E.J. Dionne calls it. The Republicans are essentially doing a Henry Kissinger chicken game confrontation scenario. The Republicans want to cut $1.1 billion out of Head Start, 15%. That means 218,000 kids get kicked out, 16,000 classrooms get shut down. This is now the early childhood education plus featuring a breakfast, so the kid is not so hungry that he or she can't concentrate on the lessons. How about Obama's Sputnik of the 21st century here? The Pell Grant. You want to go to college and you have no money. Right now you can get $5,550 today for the poorest kids under a Pell Grant. This is not generous, but the Republicans want to cut it by $845, and 1.7 million low-income students, that is 1/5 of the number currently being helped, would be kicked out. This is, of course, despicable. This is Republican class warfare. This is the destruction of the middle class. It's time to fight back. It's time to get out in the streets and do it any way also on the ideological front, right? Use the Internet against them. So the Republicans have other things that they want to cut. Now, the other interesting thing about what's happening is the repercussions of the union-busting campaign inside the Republican Party. E.J. Dionne, the Wisconsin model in the Washington Post of March 10th, what they have done with this, Walker has done no favor for the reactionary Republicans in Washington. And it has to do with the Reagan Democrats, right? You have in the Republican Party, you've got the country club Republicans who are interested in money. You've got the social conservatives based in the evangelical non-mainline churches who have their social issues. You've got the warmongers, the neocons, who are based in the think tanks. And then you've got the libertines or libertarians who are based, I don't know where, in the opium dens. The mass base of the Republican Party, though, in the key swing states, those Great Lakes states, is based on the Reagan Democrats, the blue-collar Republicans, heavily ethnic, heavily Catholic, heavily Great Lakes-centered. The reason they vote for Republicans is because the multicultural, postmodern horrors of the Democratic Party, right? Somebody like Pelosi is for cultural reasons so repugnant to them that they turn back towards the Republicans as long as the union and organizing issue is not prominent. What Dionne writes, the key to the Wisconsin battle is that for the first time in a long time, blue-collar Republicans, the so-called Reagan Democrats, have been encouraged to remember what they don't like about reactionary ideology. Working-class voters, including many Republicans, want no part of the class war raged by Governor Walker. So we're talking people with incomes up to $50,000, probably no college, at least no college degree. The people who like Walker are the snooty, upper crust Republicans in the country clubs, whereas by a margin of 42% to 31% Americans in general don't like Walker, and Walker loses 17% of Republicans, the union guys, who don't like what the Republican Party is doing. So it's a great opportunity. The problem is these Reagan Democrats have shown that they can't stand Obama. It's a great opportunity for a New Deal candidate in the Democratic primaries appealing to blue-collar Democrats and knocking Obama out of the box that way. And that's what we're hoping for. and working for. And we'll see you next week on World Crisis Radio.